Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakha Kodash, Salakia. All right. Shalom. Let me know if you can hear me correctly, clearly. All right. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. All right. As you can see in the title now, I was watching, I just finished watching a video that Apostle Ramlab had done. And I believe it was called If You Can't See It Too. And he had mentioned something in there, concerning the school system, and how, Esau has basically set up a system to where they understand that as a child, when you're, more, you soak up everything. Your first time really hearing things and experiencing certain things, that's what really sticks with you throughout. That whatever is instilled in you as a child, it's very hard to break that when you come of age or when you grow up. Because you're like a empty disc, that gets all the information downloaded on it. And then, when you grow up, that's basically what's there. So to have to now erase whatever's on there and then reprogram it is a whole nother situation. All right, you could possibly mess up something, on the disk in the process. So with that being said, use caution, now, especially dealing with these so-called school systems, all right, so-called educational facilities, as they like to call them. Hey, I mean, when you look at the curriculum, all right, and what they're teaching your kids, see, the problem is a lot of Israelites don't, parents, they don't study themselves. They themselves, this guy's bugging, man. They themselves, they don't study, so they can't necessarily, they don't even know what to teach or what to correct, their children on, so here it is. Your child could be getting indoctrinated. That's what happens in these schools. They get indoctrinated. They don't get educated. All right. Those are two different words. All right. They don't draw out your potential and work with it and see how, you can be the best you. Instead, they shut down whatever potential, whatever you have, and then they fill it up, with whatever they want to fill it up with. So that way, by the time, and really these degrees that they give you in school is really just measurements for them to be able to tell, okay, what level, of indoctrination has this person, been through, have they been indoctrinated enough, to where, let's see, have they been indoctrinated enough to where they'll be a perfect slave for society? That's why they set up these school systems, and they contrary to what they might tell you, you go to these, parent teacher conferences and so on and so forth, they'll say, oh, well, that's tight. All right. They'll say, oh, they're teaching you this, they're teaching you this. They're not teaching you anything. They really discourage, students asking questions, certain questions, because a child is very curious, right? They have a very curious mind, and so they like to ask a lot of questions. But what do they do in these school systems? They completely shut it down. They don't. If you ask a professor, right, they tell you something and you ask them a question related to what they said, oh, that's okay, that's perfectly fine. But the second you ask them, well, how do you know, that whatever they're trying to teach you is valid or is true, then you become a demon, basically. You're a demon in the class, and you need to be escorted out, or you need to, get detention or whatever. So they discourage the young mind, exploring. They discourage true studying. And then they promote things like science. They promote things that, number one, kill your faith, but they push, their so-called their so-called BS. Now, what's interesting is these elites know very well all the things that we teach and we tell you is the truth, concerning the Most High, concerning the angels, concerning all of that. These elites know, all right, that is true. Everything we say, they know is the truth. All right. And they purposely, deliberately have it to where your kid, they teach you things that they know are false. All right. These elites are not out here believing in the Big Bang Theory. All right. Because why? They know that it's false. Okay. These elites are not out here, you know.
There are no phones connected. Connect a phone and try again.
You know, they're not out here believing in these wild ass evolution doctrines and theories and so on and so forth. They know that that's not what it is, man. You know, and they actually said it. They said, look, we know these things ain't true, but what do? We push it on them anyway because we want you to believe it's true. You know. So now what do you have happening? You have a bunch of slaves who, you know, they eat up whatever their master tells them, you know. And these elites are looking at you like, damn, you stupid as hell. You know, they're like, damn, you must be, you know, you people ain't, you know, you ain't right in the head because you got people that push these false doctrines that these elites create more than the elites themselves, you know, and they set it up deliberately that way, you know, so that they can keep you people down because they know whatever they if they can captivate your child's mind from a youth, that's how you look around and you have all these people that walk around like mindless zombies, you know. Now let's get this real quick. I have a couple of precepts here. This is the book of Sirach, or the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 22, verse 19. It says, he that pricketh the eye will make tears to fall, and he that pricketh the heart maketh it to show her knowledge. All right. Now, we understand that the word heart there doesn't mean your actual physical organ, but it's referring on to your mind. Okay. So if you prick the eye, if somebody pokes your eye, the natural reaction is it's gonna get watery, you know, and it's gonna tears are gonna come out, right? But if somebody pokes your mind, all right, meaning, you know, through questions, all right, or certain statements, it's like it says here, he that pricketh the heart or the mind maketh it to show her knowledge. And what is knowledge? Knowledge is information or data that you have acquired, you know, that you learn and then you store in here. Now, when you go to these schools, that's the reason why when you poke these people's minds, you don't get any knowledge that comes out. All you get is folly and BS, because that is their knowledge. And that's why the scriptures talk about the wisdom of this world is foolishness to the Most High. We deal, you know, with the wisdom of the Lord. So when we ask thought-provoking questions, these people get very uncomfortable because they, from a youth up, they've not been in that situation. All they're learning in schools are how it's okay, you know, for a man to have a husband and for them to have a child, you know, or you know, what did Darwin think about this, you know, or the Big Bang Theory and how, you know, a dinosaur's tail is as long as freaking 5 blocks, you know, in the Bronx or something like that. All right. That's all they're teaching them in there. So you ask them legit, I mean, simple common sense questions. They don't know. A lot of people don't, you know, the thought hasn't even crossed their mind in terms of what do you hope to accomplish? Right. You okay, from birth, you know, your main thing is go to school. All right. You go to school, you go to school, you go to school, and then you finally get out of school and then you go right into working. And then you work, and then you retire. And then what do? You know, when you think back on your whole life, your existence on a grand, larger scale, you know, some people they can't even think as far as to wonder, okay, why was I put on the earth? You know, specifically. Now, there were certain people the Lord put on the earth to cause certain things to happen. For example, electricity, you know, or you know, certain inventions that were to be used. So the Lord set up certain people, you know, to bring it about through their hands. All right. Like the Lord said, I have created the smith, you know, that blew off the coals. I believe that's Isaiah 54 or so. So he's created these scientists and these smiths to create these thermonuclear missiles so that they can fulfill their job or their task. Right. So everybody has a purpose, but these people can't even think as far as to wonder, OK, well, what's my purpose? You know, what do I have to accomplish while I'm here on the earth so that when my time is up, you know, I would have passed, you know, because there's a reason you're here. You know, now people automatically think, oh, I'm just here to, you know, have a good life, have a nice family, and then that's it, But what do you actually accomplish? You just sit, as it says in the book of the book of Second Esdras, the multitude that was born in vain, they're just gonna perish. So going back to the precept, when you prick these people's minds, you don't get anything but folly. Because folly is set in great dignity, so what are they gonna be taught in these schools? Folly and lies. And then you try to give them, some actual truth and some knowledge. What happens? Because their mind has been indoctrinated. Their memory bank is full of BS. They don't have any space, to hear what you're saying, because then they gotta remove the BS, and then take in whatever you're telling them. All right. Shalom, Yasharal the chosen. 1 Corinthians 3:19, for the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High, for it is written, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness. All right, exactly. It's foolishness with the Most High. Now that's why when you prick our minds, we got answers for you. We got answers for you. Now, when we first heard this knowledge, like it says in Revelation 3:20, the Lord said he stands at the door and he knocks. What door is that? Was there a giant door somewhere that the Lord just knocks and you just know? He's talking about the door of your mind. And how does he do that? By you either hearing these videos, or you seeing the men of the Lord on the street and you hear, all right, us prophesying. That is the knocking. All right. And it says, if any man, will open the door onto the Lord, if you take time to actually listen, and perceive what's being said and accept it, you open the door for Yahushua. He will come in and sup with you. Those words that you're hearing us speak will make sense. And what will it do? It'll provoke more thoughts and more questions in your mind, which will in turn lead you to go study. And then you'll start growing and learning and growing in faith and in knowledge and in wisdom and in understanding and so on and so forth. Right? So as it says here, the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High. Okay? They can't perceive what we tell them. We understand what they say, and we understand what we say. But they don't understand that. So you got to be very cautious what they're teaching your children, in these schools. Because your child, you're working. You work. So you're not there in the classroom with them. Majority of the time, they're there, or whether it's on Zoom or whatever it's on. And in a lot of these classes, they slip in certain language and ways they say certain things to where you don't pick up on the fact that they are in a very subtle way, lessening your child's faith or trying to kill, any chance of them actually, asking certain real intelligent questions. And then the one time they do ask that question, they shut it down to make the child feel like it's bad. So the child grows up thinking, damn, it's bad to ask these kinds of questions, or it's bad to think like this. They do the same thing in church. There's a lot of people that say, look, when they hear us teach, they're like, oh my gosh, this has to be the truth, because I've had so many questions over the years that were never answered. And whenever I was asked these questions at church or to my pastor or whoever, they would make it seem like I was a bad guy for asking these questions, when really they just didn't have the answers. And because they didn't want to be embarrassed, they'd rather make me seem like I'm a devil because I'm asking questions. Oh no, you're not supposed to ask those kinds of questions. Oh no, it'll make you go crazy if you ask those kinds of questions. Meanwhile, the answer is straight up in the scriptures. They just don't know where it is. So rather than admit that, they'll just say, no, I'm not even going to deal with that. All right. Prince of Yahweh, Psalms 5:6. Thou shalt destroy them that speak leasing. The Lord will abhor the bloody and deceitful man. Exactly. And one thing Esau learned, and has really enacted in this time when he came back again, was the art of deception. All right. Deception. They know, look, the way to get them is get them when they're young. That's why there's a certain age group that is targeted with certain music and is promoted amongst them, or certain TV shows or certain activities. These social media platforms, it targets a specific age group because, yeah, you get indoctrinated in school, but you also get indoctrinated on your leisure time, when you're watching TV, what you're hearing on the news, what you're seeing on the TikTok and the Instagram and this, that, and the third. And hey, there's a saying that says, if you tell a big enough lie, often enough, people will start to believe it as the truth. Okay. Yashua the Chosen, Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. But what do they tell you is the actual duty of man? No. You got to go to college and you got to get a degree. And if you don't get a degree in college, you ain't shit. You're nothing. You don't even count as an individual. You know? But when did the Lord ever say that? Look, man, majority of individuals, you know, starting with the elders and apostles of Great Millstone on down, who actually study and learn the truth, are smarter than these so-called PhD, higher-ups, scholars out here. Man, they ain't got nothing on us, man. You know, and not saying that in a proudful way, but because we study. Because whatever you gonna go to school and somebody's gonna teach you, we go and do that. We do the same thing here. Just, this is the classroom. You know, and you don't gotta pay tuition. All right? Let's see what else I got. Yep, Prince of Yahweh, Proverbs 15 and 21. Folly is joy to him that is destitute of wisdom, but a man of understanding walketh uprightly. You know why? Because folly and wisdom cannot dwell together. Same way light and darkness cannot dwell together. They're opposites. If you have a thought on a certain matter, and you think about it using wisdom, and then you think about it using folly, one is going to triumph the other. They can't both be there. You know, you're either going to say, no, that's a stupid idea, and then use wisdom, or you're going to say, nah, that's a stupid idea, and then you go with folly. You know, so folly is joy to him that is destitute of wisdom, because he doesn't have that part in his mind that corrects him and checks him and says, hey, no, that's stupid. You know, that's not in there. He's destitute of that. So it's joy. Oh, folly. Yes, that's all they're into. Okay. But a man of understanding walketh uprightly. All right. He knows what's right and he does what's right. There's certain people that know what's right, but they don't do what's right. Okay. So now we're going to go from there to, and I don't have these in any particular order. So I'm just going to go as I have them written down. We're gonna go to the writings if I can find it. All right, but if I can't find it, I'll just quote it, because we all know what I'm talking about. This is the book of Ecclesiastes. There we go, chapter 12, verse 1. All right, it says, remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth. Because why does the Lord want you in your youth? Why does the Lord want you when you're young? The same way you want something when it's fresh. You want something when it's new. You don't want something when it's old. You know, you don't want an old broken down car. You don't want an old broken down woman. A woman don't want an old ass broken down man. You know, like an old man. Everybody wants something in its prime, when it's fresh, when it's new. So of course the Most High gonna want you in your youth. When you're see, in your youth, everything is fresh. You know, your memory, the way you process things, the way you think, your energy, your vibration, you know, your purity level. Because believe it or not, the older you get, depending on the path you take, you get the purity level goes down. You know, especially being in this world. See, when you're younger, you're more innocent. You know, you're more pure. But as you get older, you know, you learn to lie. You learn to you know, be deceptive. You learn certain things, because guess what? No matter how good you think mommy and daddy are, there's certain things that you'll see them do that they'll tell you don't do it, but you'll see them do it. Because guess what? They're still human at the end of the day, you know? And so unless, you know, you're a child, you're being raised up in the right ways, you know, through the knowledge, all right, and the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, guess what? If you're being raised up in an average family, you know, you're telling you don't do this, don't lie. But then the same person telling you don't lie you're gonna hear them lying on the phone, you know, or hear them, you know, trying to justify it when they do it because you're their child. Oh, don't question me on that, you know. And it'll be like, oh, and then slowly but surely you might end up picking up on it because you're a child and you're growing up, you know. And then it might stick with you, You know, so when you're a child, that's why the scriptures say, Yahushua said, you gotta come as a, the little children, because they listen. You know, they're not gonna constantly go back and well, what do you mean that? Well, really what it says is this and this, that, and third. The father tells the child, yo, wait here. The child is gonna wait right there. Yo, can you bring me that? They're gonna go and bring it. You know, it isn't until they start getting older, then it's like, why I gotta wait here? You know, or can't you go get it yourself, kind of thing. You know, and so when you in the days of your youth is when you gotta remember Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. All right. If you're taught manners as a child, when you grow up, it's going to stick with you. Okay. So if you're taught this truth as a child, and this truth is constantly, you're always learning, by the time you get to a certain age, it's going to be naturally in you. You know, some of these great basketball players, they've been playing since they were children. You know, these boxers, they've been boxing since they were little kids. So of course, when they grow up, it's natural, you know, and the Lord wants you in your youth. When you're able to stand there for 3, 4, 5 hours, you're able to study for long periods of time. You're able to remember more, you know. So you're able to give him more, you know, with whatever he requests. All right. He don't want you to go and give your youth and your energy to the world. And then when you're all, you know, at the point where you're like, as it says, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. Because when you have the time, when everything is all good, that's a part of the sacrifice, you know, because, hey, one thing elders or old people always tell you is that time, you know, you don't get it back. You know, a lot of them, they stress time, you know, especially those who are experienced and wise. They'll tell you, look, don't waste your time, you know, always utilize your time, because they understand that, hey, look, like, for example, me in my old age, right? I'm not talking about me literally, but I'm saying from their perspective, right? Me in my old age, I can't go back to when I was you. You know, that time is gone and I'm never going to get it back. So it's a very valuable thing, you know? So it's a part of the sacrifice, because on one hand, you're saying, well, in my youth, I can accomplish all these things. You know, if I want to be a musician, I can go be a musician. You know, I can go try to become an NFL professional player, or, you know, a writer, or whatever it is that I want to do with my youth, with my energy, with all of that. I can give that to the world. But the sacrifice comes in when you're sacrificing that time, that energy, that strength that you'll never get back. You got to sacrifice it for the Lord, you know, and then in turn, you're going to get it all back. You know, but that is a sacrifice certain people just can't make, especially when you start, you know, when you start doing something and then the Lord is like, nah, I'm going to take you out of it. Ooh, man, that's like pulling a baby off of the mom's titty. You know, they're not trying to let go, you know, but hey, if the Lord is like, if you of his elect, he's going to get you one way or another. You want to be you might be an athlete, you know, or you might be this, that, and the third. I mean, the Lord, it happened to me. You know, I used to run track, you know, and I was about to, you know, go in, get a scholarship and all that, and hurdles. And the Lord's like, no. Because on days when we would have track meets, that would be on a Saturday. But what else is happening on a Saturday? Brothers are out there teaching, you know. So now the Lord, and that was prior to, you know, when we started teaching, we were still listening, going to camp to listen to brothers teach and so on and so forth. So the Lord is like, look, now it's getting to that. And I knew it. I knew it was going to get to that, you know, that eventually it was going to get to that point where it's like, yo, one or the other, you know. And the Lord is like, look, man, here we go. I'm practicing. And then, you know, I hear something pop in my knee, and then that's it. You know, oh, there goes your career. The angel's like, oops. And that, oop, you know. So now you stuck with you ain't going to compete. You ain't going to be an athlete. You ain't getting no damn scholarship, you know. You better get your ass to camp, you know. So if the Lord says, look, I want you to do something, and you're trying to drag your feet, he won't give you an option. He won't say, oh, well, whenever you get the chance to. No, he'd be like, look, man, you know, I'm either gonna get down or lay down. You know, you either gonna do what I'm telling you to do, or I'm gonna make you do what I'm telling you to do. All right. But nonetheless, going back to the point, seek ye the Lord in the days of thy youth. And so what does Esau try to do? He tries to separate you from the Lord in the days of your youth. You know, He'll teach you all these different things in school, and school is getting more and more perverse. They ain't teaching you, man, they're not teaching your children discipline. They're not even teaching your children how to use common sense. All right? I mean, these kids are just coming out dumb as hell. They're coming out dumber than they went in. They're not learning. They're not learning. They're just being told, look, this. And then the test comes, pour it back out, and then just keep it pushing. They're not growing. They're not maturing. They're not learning any valuable lessons. All right? Because the first and foremost thing you got to learn is these scriptures. All right? That is how the scriptures teach you how to live your life. Here they say, no, you do whatever you want to do. That is chaos. That is not order. That is chaos. And then eventually what happens? Your child is spending most of his time in school. Everything he's learning from kindergarten to high school is from whatever Esau's agenda is that he wants to teach them. So by the time you might say something to your child and you might hear a different reaction and you're like, where the hell are you getting this energy from? You know, but you forget that, for majority of 5 hours, 6 hours, or however long, they're with some other individual who's just there to do their job, and their job is to do whatever they're told. Look, hey, this is what you got to teach them. And then they're being influenced by the kids around the block and at recess and this and that and the social media. So, hey, I mean, ultimately it's in the hands of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, but if you don't take care, man, your child is going to get completely destroyed, gone. You start wondering, like when did this happen? But that's how Esau set up the system, This is, and so, hey, Tawadi Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai for us, because, we in it, but we know it's BS. We're not in it because we truly believe it. We in it because we're like, hey, look, if this is what you got to do is it's a means to an end, all right, cool, But in terms of where I actually study and things that I'm actually passionate to learn about, it ain't no damn Big Bang Theory. It's not about what color's a Tyrannosaurus Rex, I could care less about how many hairs Darwin had under his chin, or this, that, and the third. Nah, man, that's not what's gonna give me salvation. That's not where my mind is at. Now if I need to learn it to pass a class, okay, I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll pass a class, but I ain't gonna be home out here on my free time and I'm reading oh shit, that's pretty interesting. If it doesn't benefit me in terms of, if it doesn't add to me to where I can do the works better, then it's of no use to me. Because what should be your number one goal? Your number one goal should be to do the work of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, but to do it better, to do it the best you can. Because going back to the parable the Lord gave about the talents, you had certain individuals that were given a certain amount, and their job was to go and flip it through trading or whatever and get more back. So if I'm a farmer, and I make money through planting and so on and so forth, what am I gonna do? The talents that the Lord gave me, I'm gonna invest in a good old plowshare. I'm gonna invest in some good oxen, and I'm gonna start plowing, and I'm gonna start planting, and then I'm gonna make sure I make a lot more money than whatever income comes back. I'm making sure the Lord gives me something. I'm investing it to where when he comes back, I can give him more than he gave me, and then as I get more, I invest more. So I'm constantly thinking of, okay, how can I increase the talents the Lord gave me? How can I constantly increase it? If the Lord gave me 5 talents and I've already made 10, I'm not going to stop there and say, well, scripture said, the 5, he brought another 5. Now, if I could go 6, I'd do 6. If I could do 7, I'd do 7. So it's constantly, okay, how can I be more edifying, or how can I, do more, what can I improve on, So if whatever I'm reading or whatever I'm studying does not ultimately lead to me growing or progressing as a man of the Lord, first and foremost, then it's not really of priority. Okay. What else we got here? Right. So Proverbs 22:6. Oh, I think a brother put, that's the spirit. That's the spirit. Kakam Banyamyan, that's the precept I was about to get. Right here, I had it open. And I just, see the brother put it there so that the spirit is moving. All right. So Proverbs 22:6, it says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. All right. And that's the key part as a child, because, hey, man, whatever your child gets fed when they're a child can make or break them, and I mean, those delicate years, before they hit that point of becoming a man, that could set the tone for what if they live 70 years after that, all 70 years, depending on how the Lord, intervenes in their life. So you got to be very, very cautious, especially here in Babylon, this wicked ass society, what your child is learning. But that also leans on you. It's your job to know certain things. You got to know the right thing so that if your child does the wrong thing, you can detect it and you can correct them. Okay? But that starts with teaching them. You got to teach them who they are. You got to teach them the scriptures. Now, look, at the end of the day, understand that it's the will of the Lord what happens ultimately, right? Because you may have a child in this generation, but that doesn't mean that in your past life, that same spirit was your child. So the Lord might have it to where you have a spirit of a wicked individual come back through your loins as your child now. And you might try everything. You might teach them the scriptures. You might try to, you might beat their ass if they go off. You might try to do whatever to get them on the right path, and they're just not with it. Hey, don't force it, man. Don't force it, because, for example, you might be a prophet, and you it's just within you. You want to, you want your son to be a prophet, but as I did a video on that before, if you're a prophet, that doesn't mean your son is also going to be a prophet, or if you're a prophet, it doesn't mean your cousin is going to be a prophet just because you know them. A prophet isn't decided by you or how somebody is brought up. The Lord, a prophet is a special spirit the Lord has created. So it's like every time somebody's born, it's almost like you're dipping your hand into a raffle bag and you're pulling up a number, all right? And there's a chance that number could be a prophet, a spirit of a prophet, or it could be a spirit of somebody that's regular, or a spirit of an elect, okay? But just because you are a prophet doesn't mean when your son comes, you put your hand in that bag, boom, he's going to be a prophet too. You can't make somebody a prophet, all right? They either are or they're not. And that's why the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets. Like Samuel. Samuel was a great prophet, but that didn't mean his sons, turned out right. Okay? Saul was wicked, but Jonathan was good. Eli was a priest, but his sons, they were priests, but were they really priests? They were priests on the outward, but on the inward, they were wicked as, what was that thing called them, sons of Belial, So moving on now, because this is what they do, a society or empire or the ruler, what he does to further his rulership is what? Making sure everybody is indoctrinated. Everybody is listening to him. Everybody sees him as the right way, or whatever he says as the right way. Okay? And we're going to get an example of that. Daniel, the first chapter. Okay? Starting at the top. It says, this is Daniel chapter 1, verse 1. It says, in the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem and besieged it. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, with part of the vessels of the house of God, which he carried into the land of Shinar, to the house of his God. And he brought the vessels into the treasure house of his God. And the king spake unto Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel, and of the king's seed, and of the princes, so they were young. And Daniel was included in here. So was Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. All right, which that wasn't their Hebrew names, but that was the names that was given to them. All right, since that was the Babylonian names that were given to them, which is a part of the Babylonian custom of indoctrination. Okay, as we're about to read. Verse 4, children in whom was no blemish, but well favored and skillful in all wisdom and cunning in knowledge and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans. You see? So they wanted kids with great potential, so that they could what? Indoctrinate them in the ways of the Chaldeans and utilize them. Because look, somebody might have potential to be a great speaker. So what do? You teach them the language of the Chaldeans, and then you teach them the things you want them to speak about. And then guess what? You set him up as a public speaker. He's going to be a great speaker regardless of what he's speaking. He just knows how to put the words together and convince people and this, that, and the third. So what would they do? They'll say, okay, we're going to utilize that talent, and we're going to indoctrinate in you, okay, what we want you to speak. You're a great speaker, so we're going to have you do this, that, and the third. You're a great teacher. Well, guess what? We're going to utilize that talent or that ability and have you teach the rest of these people our ways, So whatever we see in you, we're going to indoctrinate to where we can utilize you to further progress our kingdom, our society. And so what does Esau do? He says, look, in order to further progress my kingdom and my society, I got to teach you that you are not who you are. I got to teach you to stay away from this. And I got to teach you to stay away from those men that teach you the truth of the Bible. Instead, I got to teach you things that are contradictory to the Bible. I got to teach you about Renaissance era, but I won't teach you about the Dark Ages. I won't tell you that those are really your people. I'll tell you that slavery was just a cruise ship with people who didn't like living in Africa anymore. So the so-called white man came and said, hey, are you having harsh conditions here? Is it too hot? You're not having enough coconuts to eat? Well, come on board with us and we'll take you to a better land, where you can work as indentured servants. You get paid 1 penny a day, but a penny a day keeps the doctor away. They'll make it seem like that. That's how Esau came. And very soon, if you open these textbooks, they're going to tell you that. Oh, no. The women weren't raped. They were just sexually exercising. These people weren't forced to do anything they didn't want to do. But for the sake of their well-being, we had to coerce or influence them in certain ways. These devils will do that. And you'll read in the textbook and you'll be like, nigga, what? Because you know what actually happened. But this is what they're teaching your kids. So your child might not understand why you might feel so deeply or passionate or upset about slavery, because their understanding of slavery now, thanks to Esau's school system, is going to be different than what you know slavery to be. Daddy, why are you so angry? And you trying to explain to them, well, this is what they did. No, that's not what they did. Ms. Johnson said really what happened was this. So now Ms. Johnson says has priority over what you're trying to tell your child. And once they do that, they got your kids, man. And you try to discipline your child goes, teacher says, what? Oh, no. They take your kids away from you. So that is literally the agenda, the plan to steal your child's mind. Tell your child he's black. Black History Month. And they go hard, man. They go hard in them schools. Be proud of who you are. You are black and you're proud. Well, we're not black, man. But they're not going to teach them that at school. They'll teach them they're black. Now you teaching your son, no, you're not black, you're an Israel. No, but Ms. Johnson said that I'm black and I should be proud of that. Now I'm, so, hey, let's keep, anyway, like I just read here in the book of Daniel, that's an example. They take the youth and they indoctrinate them in ways to go. If they see, hey, in the book, Behold a Pale Horse, they say, look, they number one, purposely, why you think these public schools are free? Because they give you the lowest form of education, all right, to where even if you have an exceptionally bright student, it is next to impossible for him to become anything, because they've just designed the system to crush and oppress that enthusiastic, curious mind that may lead to great things. They've set up a way to completely break that spirit, low key and subtly. All right. But, and that's why the scriptures told us, let me go to it real quick. Of course, in the ancient world, we learned, the different things. We learned how to deal with plants and, we learned about science and astronomy and math and all these things. Yeah, we learned that, But what was the main thing that we learned in the ancient world? All right. In Israel, Deuteronomy 6, and I'll start at 5. And I'll start at 4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one. Shema Yasharala, Yahweh Alahayinawa, Yahweh Achad. All right. The Lord our God is one. Verse 5. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. This is what we taught our children. Okay. So our children, that's why men of old had such, faith, because they were literally taught up to not go against the Lord, So that's why to go against the Lord and worship another idol, not another idol, but to worship an idol or to worship a false god was a very big no-no, because you had why would you do that? It says here, verse 6, and these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart. It's going to be in your mind. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children. And thou shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. They wake up, we talking about it. You sitting down, we talking about it. We walking, we talking about it. We coming back to sleep, we talking about it. And that's us. That's literally us with this truth. Every opportunity we get, hey, you can start off talking about something in the world, but whether you realize it or not, you end up right back in holy conversation. Some way, somehow, it all comes full circle back to this, verse 8, and thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes, and thou shalt write them upon the posts of thine house and on thy gates. So you see how important it was, and also that's why we had those fringes. So we had literally zero excuse for us to not know, these laws, all right, or to go off and Salakia, and to go off, basically disobey the Lord. But in this day and age, it is not so, okay? Because when you waking up and when you going to bed and when you walking by the way and all of that, in the ancient world, yeah, we had school, but what was school? School was really teaching the children, hey, look, this is this is that, this is this is what the Lord did, this is what the scriptures say, this is the law, this is what you do in this situation, because that is what our life was based and centered around. Today, our life is based and centered around getting a job, wicked ass women, freaking breathing in chemtrails, paying taxes, going to work, dealing with all this BS in the world. So now you're forced to learn certain things because or for the sake of just survival. All right. But in the ancient world, the way we lived our life was centered around the ways of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So that's what we learned, and that's what we taught our children. All right. And so that's why it's key and important now to make sure, that, hey, not only for yourself, but hey, for those who do have children, you do your best, you do your best, but at the end of the day, it's all in the hands of the Lord, so you do your best, but just be cautious, man. What you read and what you learn is always good to go with what the scriptures say, because when you go with that, you don't get stuck in dilemmas. Is abortion right or is it wrong? What do the scriptures say? Should I lay with her or should I not? Does she have a man? What do the scriptures say? You just go back to the scriptures and it'll tell you what you're doing. You just follow it, but that's pretty much it. I'm gonna end it off here. All right, Lord willing, this was edifying and informative unto the elect. We know we're at that point where they're coming down heavy, because before I leave, I say this: what they used to do was they used to target in a way, they used to try to spread or paint with a broad brush. They try to spread a big ass tarp over us whenever we would speak about certain things in our videos, so they can have a reason to say we're linking it to this, and then we're gonna take down your video. Now they are targeting prophecy. Literally, they're finding a way to where if you speak about prophecies, particularly about the mark, all right, or the chip, they're going to take down your video. They're going to strike you. So be careful how you title your videos, but they're specifically targeting prophecy. Now, what the hell are we supposed to do? Our job is to speak on these prophecies. So you mean to tell me because they're doing that, they come out with some new legislation and it's blatantly obvious, we just go, that's the. You know what I mean? We'll find some way to get the message across, but notice now that they're now starting to try to censor us based on this prophecy, because they're getting ready to roll it out, and they don't need that that other voice telling people, hey, be cautious, hey, don't take that. So the second you do so, medical misinformation, that's what they're coming with. All right. But anyways, all the Lord's will. All right, the further we get in prophecy, the closer we get to our deliverance. So, hey, do what you got to do, and the Lord is going to do what he got to do. All right. So with that, I hope you were edified. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ruach HaKodesh. Until next time, Shalom.